There you go.
Perfect.
Claire, thank you for being here.
Yes, thank you very much.
Yes, thanks so much for having me. It's exciting to see everyone. And speaking of like full circle, I started at Workforce Boulder County. It'll be 11 years ago in the fall. So it is true that I met a lot of you like a while ago, and then yeah, some of you I'm seeing sporadically throughout that time, and some it's now again after so long. So I appreciate being invited here. I strongly encourage the networking piece. I put in the chat like yes, and it can look so different for everyone. So this is one of many different ways in which people can network. So I love that there's the space like this and that there's other spaces, and I appreciate you showing up and taking the time to be here with all of us today. I know that there's quite a few of you who have connected with Workforce Boulder County in particular, and also there may be a number of you that have connected with a workforce center. So I'm going to try to make it as brief as possible going through the resources because I can get super into the weeds and I don't want to do that. I want to be here as a resource for you and share a few other things in addition. So hopefully as I go through, I give you enough information, um, and I also I don't want to give every little detail. What I am going to say is that no matter what, any one of you can always reach out to me if you have specific questions. And I'm going to give you contact information as well. I'll give it once, I'll give it twice. I can send this PowerPoint slide, whatever it is. So don't worry if you don't get all of the little details. We'll definitely be able to connect around that and also know that there are, you know, often people in these spaces that can also provide information to you, who've utilized our services before. So just keep that in mind as we go forward. Not today, but in the future, we are gonna hopefully always be around. So again, I'm Claire. I did not put my name on here. Claire Benton is who I am. And I have been at the Workforce Center for, it'll be 11 years in the fall. Prior to that, I worked in higher education doing career counseling since around 1999. So I've been doing this work a long time in I'd like to therefore call myself an expert, but I got to tell you what, each and every one of you who are doing this stuff every day, you are truly an expert in your field, okay, of the job search. And you all help me figure out what's going on out there and where you're getting stuck and what those barriers are for you, whether perceived or real. I think it was Amy that said, this is tough stuff. So when I go through this information, when we have any of our trainings and workshops, which I'll give a shout out to, when you do career coaching with anyone, whatever the case is, just know that it's never as easy as it may seem. It's a huge thing. So I, as part of that, always want to say, and I say this all the time to anyone that I come across in these spaces, is that part of your job search process is taking care of yourself. Like it needs to be in the list of things you do. You're filling out job applications, you're doing resumes, you're doing interviews, you're doing networking, all of that. And part of that list needs to be taking care of you, whatever that looks like, whether it's, making some space to do some gardening or some hiking or whatever. It doesn't have to be, traveling around the world and spending a bunch of money, which may be nice, and that may not be an option in the moment, but taking care of you so that when you go to do these other things, that you're showing up as best you can. It may not be the you that was you before or will be you in the future, but whatever it is, that taking part of you piece is really big. So I just wanted to say that first and foremost before I get into some nitty gritty stuff about what we do and all of that, is that just building that space and making a boundary around that and making sure you're taking care of that. So, all right. What I want to say first is, and I will come back to this too, but and I think Trent said it, Don said it, whoever, there's workforce centers all over. After the pandemic happened, or however, whatever we want to call that, there's a lot more accessibility virtually speaking, somewhat less in person, and it can be a little bit frustrating. So I'm gonna give a shout out to that the best I can. And there are almost all workforce centers are open. Actually, they need to be open to someone from anywhere. Actually, they may have you sign up for Connecting Colorado, which I'm going to name a couple times, but that's truly the only thing a person really needs to do to access a workforce center. Now, there are specific things that could potentially be specific to a workforce center itself that matches an address that you have. And that is generally only if you're going to be receiving money from them in some sort of way. That's the most basic way to explain that. If I'm down in Denver today and I decide I want to go into the workforce center, I can go in there. Just because I'm not from Denver County doesn't matter. If I wanted to ask Denver County for money for some sort of training or something, that may be where they go, hey, you know what? You're going to need to, oh, I see your address is in Boulder. You're going to need to check with Boulder County Workforce Center. So I'll explain that again later, but I want you to know that anyone is welcome in. And a lot of times they'll come from out of state and join us. If they've got a Connected Colorado account and they're in there, absolutely, that's your ticket in, and it's a free service. Everything that we provide to you is free. If anyone's asking you for money, you're in the wrong place. Okay. So that's just a brief. So for Workforce Boulder County specifically, we have 2 offices, and we provide both in-person and virtual services. Overall, we have a location in Boulder on Iris and Broadway, and then we have a location in Longmont on Kaufman Street. It's kind of like off Main Street. I think it's between, I don't know, 5th and 6th or something. I may be wrong on that, but nonetheless, 515 Kaufman, ample parking in the parking lot. Boulder office has lots of parking. So this is good news. You know, sometimes people question the parking thing. We also have bike racks and whatever. There's also bus stops for both of these fairly close. Just throwing that out there. We also, at the same time as our in person, we're basically always have a virtual option. Like people can email, people can leave voicemails at all times. Even during the weekend, you can leave a voicemail. Someone will get back to you. That's the good thing. Will they get back to you instantly? No, but they will get back to you. We also, the way it's rolling out right now, this is gonna sound a little confusing, is that we are always virtual on Fridays. So that's something to keep in mind. None of the office spaces are open on Fridays. Monday through Wednesday, 9 to 4:30 is open in Boulder. Longmont is Monday through Thursday, 8 to 4:30. Anyway, these are into the weeds things. It's on here. The bottom line is that we do have in-person services. And what that means is you can come in and you can talk to someone. You can come in and you can join Christine on Wednesdays in the beautiful atrium area and have a conversation and do some job searching. We have computers that are open for anyone to use for job searching purposes. We have a printer you can fax and scan. Don't be going to Kinko's and spending money on things like that. Or if you don't, you can't access your internet or whatever it is, and you don't want to wait in line at a library, which is a great resource, come into our offices. We have computers, we have a space for you. So that is kind of that in person. You also may have the opportunity to chit chat with someone. It's not always true that someone's going to be available to sit down with you and have a lengthy conversation. and they can at least get you started, provide some overall resources, and get you connected to us. So this is a great entry point as well as a place to come visit and utilize our space. And if you have any questions, you can put them in the chat. And yes, Christine is there. Come and join. I feel like it's a pretty good space. And you know what? If more people come, it'll create more of a comfortable connecting space. So it's always open. I mean, when it's open, that is. Okay, so Workforce Boulder County, like what the heck are we? Mission and values. I know these are always like one of those things. I'm just throwing it up there. I'm not even gonna read through it, but the overall like premise is that we have employers that need employees, and we have employees that need employers, right? So the mission is to connect the two as best we can. So what that means is that, and it's really important to think our values are engagement, empathizing, evolving, and I love to add empowerment to the piece. So it's not you come in, we hand you a job, or we tell you what to do. Unfortunately, I believe there can be some myths around workforce centers and recruiters or career counselors. No one ever does that. Unfortunately, what we'd like to do is really get to know you and empower you and engage with you and empathize in the hardness of it all to provide the resources to get you there. And we will be there alongside you with what we offer. But it's always nice to kind of see that's what we're up to. And really what matters to us is more about how you feel and how you can hopefully grab onto that sense of hope and find some purpose. It doesn't mean that it's all rainbows and unicorns. The next job you're going to find is going to be this perfect whatever. That's not necessarily where we see the world going or being. That's a great goal. What we really want to do is help you get to a place where you feel a sense of purpose and hope in the process of getting there as well. So lots of different things in there. I could again talk about that a lot. We do a very deep dive into a lot of what I was just talking about through confidence building and empowerment through a lot of the services I'm going to talk about in a little bit. That's our main goal. We often get the question, who do we serve? If I told you everyone and anyone, that would be a little broad and maybe not helpful. Yet I have to be honest, that's the truth. There really isn't anyone wait, I don't like the double negative, so I'm going to get myself confused. We can help everyone. That's the bottom line. We serve individuals and families. Unemployed, often you get connected with us. Underemployed, sometimes you don't know we exist. Employed, absolutely, you can be full-time employed and still access our services. You can be program attached, meaning you could be receiving some sort of other benefits from a county or state or federal benefits, and then you can access us. You can not be getting those, you can access us. You could just be a friend and you can access us. Also, one thing I'm going to say before I focus, talk about priority needs, we also can serve, and this, if this is true for you or someone because this is the best part of workforce is you can spread the word to neighbors, to friends, to any, volunteer work that you're doing, anything to let other people know. We also can serve undocumented folks. They cannot receive state, county, or federal funding for these things called training programs, which I'm going to talk about. And they can still access our services. They can get financial courses. They can come to the workshops. They can, come into the door and use our resources. Absolutely. They need to sign up for Connecting Colorado, which does ask you for a social security number. There is a way around it. Don't tell the state people. If you're from the state, they do give us permission to do it, but they don't make it very clear on the website. So always ask. We can definitely do this. We're there to help new Americans. We're all of the things. So our focus is for everyone. We do have priority for veterans, spouses of veterans, again, new Americans, older adults, young adults, people with disabilities, basically anyone with barriers, challenges. And you know what? That's all of us when we're in the job search process. Let's be honest, right? There's definitely varying levels and definitely intersectionalities with all kinds of things happening, but we are here for everyone. And we also have a service to the employers who are in our businesses who are seeking employees. So do keep that in mind too. Um, I don't know if there's any background noise. Is that me? I was like, am I move? I can't tell. But hopefully you can all still hear me. Um, Quick
No,
shout
you
out.
sound
I'm
great.
not going to really go through this career cycle situation, but this will be in the slides. The overall idea that I want to show you in this is that there's no linear way to do this. You come in the door, you go through 7 points, check mark, check mark, check mark, and then you live happily ever after. It's an ongoing process. People can enter at any point in any of these things, getting to know yourself, getting to know yourself again. Who are you? What are you interested in? What do you like? What is your personality? What's out there? Like what the heck? And I'm going to talk a little bit today about what is out there. What's the future of work look like? What are growing industries? Where might I be able to put some time and energy into the to my future and what's going on? Um, maybe there's uh you want a resume reviewed, you want help with an interview. Like wherever you come in, we got you. Like you don't have to go, okay, I would love to get some interview help, Claire. And we're not going to go, well, first you need to take some career assessments to get to know yourself and then we'll get you to the interview. No, 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 no. You hop in where you want. You may find and discover that the best interview that you can have is really to take a little bit of time to maybe go back and think about who you are, what you're interested in, what's going on for you. So you may pop back into that space for a little bit of time, but there's no policy or procedure around any of this, right? This is just kind of, you can see that gray circle behind. It's kind of a suggestion of like, hey, maybe tapping back into who you are first, looking at what's out there, and then making a match is a great idea. And we can enter from any place and we can pop around. And this is kind of a forever thing because you do this once. Maybe you did this 12 years ago with us, 11 years ago, 10 years ago, and maybe you're back in here again. Maybe it's your choice, maybe it's not your choice. Nonetheless, we want to look at how have things changed in our society and how have you changed. So this is just a brief um, look at what all of the kind of stuff that we can assist with and great things to think about as you're going through the process. Brief shout out to kind of what we do. So we have, the next slides will be kind of the overall open spaces of things that we do, but this is a quick shout out to something that we do that may be a little bit more comprehensive. So if someone is interested in getting deeper assistance with someone, we do, and this is all workforce centers in their own way, shape, or form, do and can provide funding for different trainings. Maybe you want to get you have project management skills, but you're finding that all the job descriptions want you to have a PMP license. That could potentially be something that we could help you with. Or maybe you've done some computer stuff but you need a little bit more, you want to take some deeper training around Python. Or maybe you've always wanted to get into healthcare and you want to get a CNA license or whatever it is. So it could be for someone who's completely changing careers, or it could be for someone who wants to upskill in a current career or with their transferable skill sets. We have stuff like that. We have work-based learning and internships around that. We have ongoing support and coaching. I am one of the career coaches. I can do long-term career coaching with folks. Unfortunately, there's only two of us. We have quite a long list. And if you want in, you let me know and we can get you in a wait list. You could probably get in later in July, which I know sounds super far away because we can help you before then, but there is comprehensive, deeper services that can be provided, and that may also be available at a local workforce center, to yourself by your space as well. Post-secondary support, that's like, GED help, that kind of thing. We have a learning lab, all kinds of stuff. So that's kind of a really brief overview of that. The other things that we have to keep in mind is that we do have workshops, and I'm a little biased because I teach a lot of these, so I think they're awesome. They're available to everyone. Sometimes we have like 50, 60 people in there from all over the state. Um, and you will find that these are just our workshops that I'm highlighting. But once you get into Connecting Colorado, you'll see that there's other workforce centers also providing a lot of really fantastic workshops. They're all free. They're, levels of engagement in there. No one ever puts you in a breakout room where you have to have conversations with people if that freaks you out. No one's ever going to make you turn on your camera, and you can turn on your camera, and you can unmute and have a conversation. You can use the chat, or you can choose not to. So we always suggest to people, show up, see how it is for you, get comfortable, be comfortable, do what it is you want in those spaces, and just know that they exist. There's all kinds of different workshop offerings on various different topics, again, everywhere from like building confidence, figuring out what you're going to do next, career exploration, all the way to overcoming difficult work histories, what's the future of work, and then we do have a workshop in Spanish. We do also always have Spanish speakers available for folks, in all of the services. And if folks or yourself speak other languages, we have a language line accessible for folks as well. And we can also get interpreters if we need to for people who are deaf or anything like that. So we definitely can make things happen for folks. We are doing in-person walk-in resume and interview spaces, quick 15, 20-minute helping the second Tuesday in Boulder, the fourth in Longmont. So we've added that back in. We're excited to add in-person stuff, FYI, and no one's been coming. So either come, or if it disappears, know that we're still available, but that we're trying to kind of navigate our time and usage. But be there for people in person. And I know as a group, you may still think about that too. We're right. Hey, if we put BoulderNet, back in the church that we used to be in, are people going to come? Or do we get more online? Or can we make hybrid? So all of us together, I think in our society, are still trying to work through some of these pieces. So I just kind of throwing that out though. So for now, all of our workshops are still virtual other than the walk-in resume and interview critiques. Around career, we also have a lot of fantastic financial workshops. Marcia and Carla rock these. Carla has them in Spanish. Marcia does them in English. If these are not for you, know that your kids, your friends, whoever, no one teaches us these financial topics. And these are great. And if you're on unemployment, FYI, these count for unemployment workshops too. It's so ingrained together, right? Working, money kind of goes hand in hand. So, gosh, people don't always know, or maybe your budget's going to look a little bit different than it used to. So, checking in with these things, getting some great tips and pointers, virtual spaces to come together, not only on the career side of things, which we often think of for a workforce center, and we have this financial space. In addition, we have home ownership too. So if you've been thinking about buying a home, I know right now is maybe I don't know. This is a whole different topic in our, especially in our Boulder County space. So I'm not going to try to get off on a tangent here about affordable housing or anything. And just know that if you get into or are interested in just solely learning about home ownership, or you get into one of the programs where they require you to take a CHAFA certified home ownership class, this is it. And it's free. And Marsha she's so good. She makes the class totally worth coming to. So just keep that in mind. That's always something a little bit hidden about a workforce center that people don't always know we do. Do they do these at other workforce centers? I actually don't know the answer to that question. But you do not have to be from Boulder County to necessarily come to ours. There is a little piece on Boulder County housing that's part of this program, and it's a small amount. So it would still be useful, and it would check mark your need to go to a CHAFA certified workshop. So for what it's worth, that's that. We also have computer training. We call it a computer training center. It's through Custom Guide. And it's if you are feeling like as part of your job search process, in addition to taking care of yourself, we always suggest like learning something new. And one of those things can be, hey, maybe my technology needs a little bit of help, or gosh, I don't even know, maybe you want to start learning to knit. You can always check out some YouTube videos on that. But, like kind of keeping your brain and your mind engaged in something and learning something new is helpful. One of the things you could do through us is that we have what's a self-paced through Custom Guide computer skills. So anything from like typing, using a mouse, all the way to like pivot tables, and further on in Excel, there's the Google platform. There's all kinds of stuff. It doesn't get into programming languages or anything like that, but you can go through them and you get certificates. You don't get certified in like Microsoft Excel or something. Those classes that's like next level, and you get really good information. It's something you could put on your resume, something again to gain your, that space of your skill sets in Excel, Word, SharePoint, Access, PowerPoint, all of those kinds of things, Outlook, the Google platform, and just get yourself, keeping yourself engaged and learning something new. That's a free thing. Again, I will send this PowerPoint. That's a way in which you can learn about how to get connected with that. And last but not least, I just want to give a shout out to our business services side of things. We have a whole team that's working at connecting with businesses. This is an old picture. If you see Deb in there, Deb is not with us anymore. She retired quite a few. Oh gosh, has it been years? Maybe it hasn't been that long. Year and a half. I miss her. So I think a lot of you actually know who Deb Blankenship is. But the rest of us are still there that's in this picture. I mean, I'm not in this picture, but the rest of the people in this picture are surprisingly still with us. So a lot of us have been around a long time, and there are also new people. But so business services. As I said earlier, we have businesses looking for employees. So we have a whole arm of folks helping engage with businesses, provide the platform of Connecting Colorado to post their jobs, provide internship, apprenticeship opportunities, career fairs, job events, hiring events, all of that. So do know that you will find a lot of that information at our offices, what's coming up, but also when you sign up with Connecting Colorado, you'll get emails. You might get so many that you start to ignore them, but hopefully you can see that there will be information to Boulder, but also the wider Front Range area and all over, where they'll have hiring events and job fairs, which are great opportunities to do in-person networking. So do keep that in mind, that we have people working on that side. Or if you are currently employed and you want your team to utilize our services to find amazing people that come to us, such as yourself, that is something to keep in mind. Or maybe once you are employed in something in the future, just remember that maybe you need an intern and you don't have the money to pay for it. Maybe Workforce can pay for an intern to be there with you. So lots of different options on the business employer side. This is definitely how the easiest way to connect with us is when we're open to come in. That's one way. Or there's all these other ways. We're on social media. There's lots of different things. But this right here, and I'm going to put it in the chat, is our interest form. it's pretty quick. You can fill out what you're looking for, what you want to find out more, and someone will contact you. They won't be able to get to you right away, but they'll get to you fairly soon within, I think it's like 48 hours or something if there's no weekend in there. And they'll connect you. They'll be able to tell you about where you want to go, who you want to contact, all of this stuff. Okay? So, um, it looks like I have a little bit of time. I did want to leave time for questions, and I believe I was gonna try to end by 10. So I'm not sure what that looks like, but I wanted to give you, because I know that a lot of you will, if you haven't accessed our services, I hope that you do. So I don't want to repeat any of those things. Like I don't want to, that's kind of why I was like, hey, come to what already exists versus me coming in here for like 15 minutes and summing up like all 15 of our workshops. I thought, hey, know about the workshops, come to us. And then I thought it would be fun to just highlight these 4 kind of resources, and I called it Claire's coaching. Um, what did I say? Claire's coaching corner. I have so much fun. My middle name is actually Carly, so there's a lot of C's because I'm a career counselor, and so I try to always kind of play around with like the different C things that I can do. Lots and lots of stuff. But I called it Claire's coaching corner, and these are not like resources that I get paid to share about. They're not necessarily connected to one another even. They're just like, I thought best use of time would be to just give you, hey, these are 4 things that I found recently that I think are pretty cool. And so I'm going to actually take you to the websites quick and just give a very brief overview of why I think they're cool, and plop the resources into the chat, and they will also be linked on the PowerPoint when I send that out. So here we go. All right. So first up, can people see that? That's the good question first. Yeah, okay, perfect. So I want to name that personally, I am not a huge data person. I don't necessarily like work with metrics, or like I kind of always want to know the bigger picture of like, why do we need to collect all that? Da 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 da. And what I want to say is I love this site, and it's all data, but it's colorful and it's easy to understand, and it has so much data, but it's understandable. So you can use this for anything. You can use this for politics. You can use this for diversity, looking up like the diversity or lack thereof in spaces. You can look at, you know, all kinds of stuff. And so what I'm going to do, instead of just tell you how cool it is, I'm going to bring you to the Boulder, Colorado one. I'm just going to use that because that's where I'm standing today. It takes a little bit of time. Notice I put it in there. It takes a little bit of time to find it. There it did. It came up. So I'm going to click on it, and you're going to see that within the spaces, so you can use, there's information for the United States. And I tell you what, when you look at Boulder and you look at Longmont, which isn't very far down the road, this is going to look different. Some of this is going to be the same. Our senator is going to be the same, et cetera, et cetera. But the median age and the income, everything's going to look a little bit different. So there's all kinds of things that I think are cool in here. Population diversity, economy, civics, education, housing and living, health. What we're going to look at is economy. So I'm going to click on that. And I just want to show you, again, I'm not going to go through all of this, but part of the job search process is looking at like, what's out there, right? What's going on in my particular area? And just because I live in Boulder doesn't mean I shouldn't look at what's going on in Broomfield or Superior or Longmont or Lafayette or Louisville or Erie, because if I can get there, right? So making sure that you're looking, what are the occupations? What are people doing here? What are the fields? We talk a lot about sectors and, industry areas. And like, I'm like, hey, yeah, well, we have a college here, but maybe we have a larger college here, but maybe not down the street in Longmont or whatever. So what are people doing? this is really cool to say, oh, these are the fields that people are actually working in. Because I tell you what, often we tell you like these are the hot areas, and sometimes they're not even in there. Like we say construction. I don't even see construction in here. Of course, there's tons of construction in Boulder if you've ever been through, but maybe they aren't hired through a company that is in Boulder. So it's not perfect, but it's really cool to kind of see. And as you scroll down, it gets a little bit more detailed where we go, well, what are these industries? So there's a lot of professional science and technical services. Maybe I'm not a science or a tech person, so I might shut that down. But guess what? You may have transferable skills to work in a place like that. Right? So you don't work in higher ed because maybe you're not a professor, but there are departments that have people, administrative assistants, they have their own lawyers, they have their own they have their own, nurses, they have their own facility folks, they have their own retail sales, all of it, all of these little areas that you might not think of. It's really good to look in here to then go, okay, well, this is an area that I work in myself, or I don't work in this, but it's a huge percentage of what's happening around here. So how might I transfer my skills into it, or how might I upskill and look at what's going on? So this is a start. I just love this to kind of just look at the reality. It's also good to kind of see, well, what are people making? What do I need to make? All of that kind of stuff. So one of my current favorite places to guide people to is the Data USA. I need to move this down. There we go. Another one that I think is cool, and I'm not going to go through it, but we've been using this report for a lot of I think we have a 2-hour workshop on the future of work. And so you can get lots and lots of information, but a lot of the information we're pulling from is from this report. So if you're a data person, you want to know like what the future of work is supposedly going to look like, what kind of skill sets matter. The great news is that we're all going to be able to find a place. That's the bottom line, right? It feels like sometimes when, this new thing, this AI comes in, like robots are going to take our jobs and all of that. And yes, to some extent, there's going to be some changes, and there's been changes throughout our history where we've had to kind of move and sway with them. So this is a great place to kind of look at what are people expecting and what is that going to look like. This is a great resource to play around in if you like a lot of reading or data. There's like different ways to look. There's infographics, whatever your way is to learn about it. See, like some people are going to go to the full report and they're going to spend their time going through everything. For me, I'm like, I need some infographics, or I need the bottom line. I need an overview. So whatever your preference is for your learning style, go for it in that. And I also
And this
wanted to give a
report
shout
is
out
national. Okay. And,
Yep.
and
You got a
this
question?
yeah, these are the people I really want to hear about.
Yes, the future of work. So what is this? This is a newer office. Oh yeah, I could totally add that to the chat. Let's get Data USA and then I'll come back to this.
Yeah. I would like to add that the Future of Work office at the state level is headed by a master's degree holder in social work. So
Yes, it's Catherine Keegan. She is
yeah,
amazing. And she's got good people, right? Because
yeah,
as we
yeah.
know, we can't be everything. So we need our demographers and we need our helpers for everything, right, that we're doing. So that is fantastic. The report. I want to make sure I get you that one. Uh-oh. Oh, hold please. Okay. Get the nitty-gritty in here first. Where did that go?
I think you had it in the drop down. There was a future
Oops.
work thing.
Look at now I'm in here. Oh boy.
I think it was the third option of the drop it down you had earlier.
The third one? This
Yeah.
one? Is that it? Yes. Thanks, team. See? I need my
It
team
takes a
too.
village.
It sure does. I need all the help I can get. So then I'll put this future of work in there. Okay.
It does mean a lot to me
So
that it's an MSW because, the future of work is social science. It's more than just
totally.
work.
Right.
It's how
There's a
are we going to
lot of
work?
technical, but we need the people to figure it out and make it work and balance. So, what's really cool is again, I'm not going to go through all of this, but I want you to see that there's lots of different reports in here, what the plans are going forward. You can kind of meet the team. There's apprenticeship information. There's so much in here. And the great part too is that they do a lot of workshops and they talk a lot about, digital, not just digital literacy, but equality. Like, what is that going to look like? And they've been doing a lot of partnering to figure out how are we going to get, the internet to places that doesn't have it and all of that kind of stuff. So there's a lot in there about, yes, jobs, but also just that future of what does work look like and how can we make it accessible to everyone. So you're going to find a lot of great information in here. Look at those, all the reports that are specific, not to just, all the world and our country, but specific to Colorado. So for what it's worth, those of you that like this has been something that we've been pulling a lot of information from for our workshops to keep ourselves updated in this. And know that there's more to come on this. I also want to give a shout out to something that may come along in the near future for us that we've been integrating into our workshops always, but we may even kind of build out a whole separate workshop around is job quality. Those are kind of the buzzword like phrase that they're using right now, but it's really like what, and it's breaking it down. What does job quality mean and what does it mean for you? It maybe look different than someone else in your life. So, not just considering the money, the location of the place, all of that, but what's your wellness? Like, what are they doing to help you in that space? What does flexibility and adaptability look like? How can you ask questions around getting at that in an interview, so that you can see some of those red flags or green flags when you're meeting with people or looking around their spaces. So really thinking about defining job quality these days looks quite a bit different than it may have in the past. And sometimes we get stuck on like the first thing we look at is like, oh, it's 55,000 a year, that won't work. Yes, it may not pay a bill. And what else is in that? What are those benefits in there? What other things are happening within that 55,000? Is there a pension plan? Is there not? Is there, how many days off do you get? How hard do you, I was gonna say how hard do you have to work? That's such a bad way to put it, but how many hours are expected of you? All of these kinds of things, because there could be some trade-offs and it's good for you, especially if you've been in the work, space for a long time, to consider what might be different for you that can bend and move with the offerings that are out there for you. So just a shout out to like job quality kind of goes into the future of work. And last but not least, kind of random from what else we've been talking about. I talk a lot about Strengths Finder, and there's also one called the VIA Character Strengths Assessment, at getting at really like what are you naturally good at, and that's been one that you may have heard of, but this is a new one. If you haven't heard of it, it's a newer, maybe you already know about it, but it's another Strengths Finder assessment that's free if you can't, if you're not in this space right now to be affording, the official Gallup Strengths Finder 2.0 version. This is a really great one, resource assessment that we found recently, and I like it. And they don't charge you, and if they ask for money to find out more, don't do that. The information you get is good enough, but it's really thinking about what am I good at, and let me put some more time and energy into that space versus always, I did talk about learning and strengthening yourself and your skill set. So we want to do that kind of thing, but we don't always want to be living in the space of what am I not good at? I'm going to make it all better. That's sometimes what we do. I call ourselves the self-help society, right? All the self-help books. I'm not ragging on them because I actually have a few myself. And at the same time, remember that you have skills and strengths. And a lot of times we're not putting the right effort into them to make them even better. We're trying to make ourselves average in all of these different spaces. And so this is encouragement to look at what comes natural to me that I can put a little bit more time and effort into, and it's not killing me at the end of the day. So that's my shout out for a cool new assessment. That's my coaching corner for the day. I don't know. I know you all have to introduce yourselves. So I just was finishing at 10. I don't know what people say, if they have questions that I can answer, or if you're interested in getting on your networking side of things and I pop off, I can hang out for a few minutes. What do you think? Anyone have any thoughts, questions, ideas?
It's spinning off a lot of ideas for me, but
Yeah.
if our goals are to be getting jobs, probably the assessment may be the most useful thing for me where I am right now.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's definitely that's just one of a lot of different assessments. And we have shout outs to aptitude assessments, interest assessments. So definitely checking out our career exploration workshop would be great, even if you know what you want to do. I think sometimes people think the career exploration workshop is just for someone who wants something completely different, and that's not true. You could know exactly what you want, but maybe you don't know how to talk about yourself. What's your uniqueness? What are your skills? How do you demonstrate that to someone on the other side via a cover letter, a resume, a LinkedIn profile? All of these assessments and ideas that we talk about in the career exploration workshop can be helpful for you. It's not just about finding a new career. So pop into that. And you know what? If y'all have been to these workshops before or it's been a while, come back and check them out too. Anything else coming to mind?
Well, I want to thank you so much. That's very helpful information. We all
Yeah,
agree
yeah.
the workforce Boulder County is very helpful.
Yeah, and I'll give you my direct email. There's that. And it may be that I might not be your best person, and I will definitely respond and get you to the right place. Okay? And I do want to give a shout out. I wonder if I can attach this or if I need to follow up. Let me see if I can do this. We do have virtual career coaches that are from around the state that can also help you with questions. And they're generally available. If you click on a link today, they're generally available already this afternoon. If you're like, hey, I need you to look at my resume. Can you look at my resume quick? Or I need help with an interview. So I'm going to put this in here. They're called the Virtual Coaching Collaborative. And this PDF comes through. It has a scheduling link, and yeah. So definitely check that out. There's people out there for you through the workforce centers. So yay! Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah. Hey, Mark, is smoke and fire? Is this a good thing? I was like, is smoke and fire a good thing? Or Mark's like, what?
Yeah,
I know Mark. So.
absolutely. It's a great thing, Claire.
Okay, good.
You got to get with the youth, man. You're spitting smoke and fire today.
I know. I'm not feeling that connection right now.
Yeah,
I
you got
like it. Now I
Riz.
know. I'm spitting smoke and fire. Woo!
Yeah,
Thank
and
you.
you also have Riz today.
That's awesome. It's great to see some of you I haven't seen for a while. Definitely reach out. I hope that you can join us in our workshops. That's always the kind of quickest way in. You get to meet other people like this. You don't necessarily get to network with them, which you'll have the opportunity to do this way, but you can do that in the chat. People will also put in hey, connect with me on LinkedIn. So anything that you want to utilize with that chat. Oh, and by the way, you can connect with me on LinkedIn if you would like, if we're not connected. Let me do that quick and then I'll pop off so that you all can have your time.
Thanks for fresh information, you know, it
Yeah,
means a
that's what I
lot
was
that you can stand behind this stuff. You can say, hey, this is helpful instead of just, you know, oh, I saw this and it might be helpful.
right. And there's
But-
so many. I was like, how am I going to pick this? And I know a lot of you will come to our workshops or be with us. So I wanted to just provide, you know, like what is it that we do, a little snippet, and then hopefully we'll see more of you. Oh, I like the the charisma. Thank you. And I like this. Now I've got some information to take away from myself and some new wording that I can use. Thanks, everyone.
Hey, we live to serve.
Yeah.
Thank
All
you,
right.
Claire. Take care.
Thank you, Claire.
Thanks for having me.
Bye.
Appreciate it. Thank you very, very much.